Here, you want this? You want this? You want nothing? Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Gloria.
Stand is crazy.
Brother Jim Dan. Hey, say thank you. Anytime you need help, give me a call. Hey, don't forget me, like, Monday I start the mediation. Actually, oh. Dude, we get 20, 18? Keep it coming. Hey, get around, 18. No, Hey, there you go. Come on. Man. See Matt? You gotta ask who's singing. I think I'm headed to Tim. Tim, are you singing tonight? Are you singing tonight? No, both times. Especially out there.
I don't know. No, but the lesson.
Oh, boy. Now.
I'd appreciate it. All right, good evening. So we're going to go ahead and get started with a word of prayer, and then we're going to finish up on the last book, which is Malachi. So if you would bow with me, please. Dear Lord in heaven, we thank you so much for just another day that we can come here and just gather together and learn more about your word. Just ask that you'll be with us, that the things that are said here are in accordance to your will, and that we can take these things, apply them to our lives, and just try to live a more holy life and become more like your son. We thank you so much for his sacrifice, and it's his name we pray. Amen. So I figured I was going to start you off by saying the saying is true, that you do save the best for last. So figured I'd get that away. But so we're going to talk about Malachi. It is the last book. It's very, very short. So they gave me only 4 chapters to work with, and it actually only has a total of 55 verses. I added that up myself. I hope I can add. I'm a math teacher, but that's all it is. So it's very, very short. Doesn't have very much to go with it. The people had started the era of forgetting God's love. With God's love and loyalty and doubt, things that used to be sacred were no longer sacred. They were supposed to be going and giving sacrifices and stuff like that, and they weren't doing that. God's love for his people pushes God to bring forth a messenger, and that messenger is going to be Malachi. And the effects that they had with this, because they were forgetting God's love, is it affected their home life. It affected their attitude. It affected everything that they were doing in life. They weren't doing the things that they were supposed to do with the love that they had because we're going to find out some of the things that they were upset about. So we get to see these people for who they are and why they're upset. They question the reality of their sin. They're looking at this and they're like, it's not that bad. They're questioning the faithfulness of God. These people had a lot of promises that were given to them. And to be honest, they get really bratty. And they're questioning God. They're like, hey, you haven't delivered what you said you were going to deliver. And so the book will end with actually a sadness and a deep regret. And on one hand, you're going to have these people who are very upset. They're bickering. They're going to give offerings, but they're giving them half-hearted. They're giving their lame animals. They're not giving their best. And then you have God on the other side, and he gives them a very, very stern warning. In this, he lets them know, y'all better shape up. So that's the God verse, the bickering humans. And only God is going to be able to provide a way out. The seriousness, I don't know if I'm doing a good enough job of how upset these people were and how far away from God they were getting. But the only way that this is going to have a good result is by God intervening. And that's why he's going to send Malachi. And Malachi looks forward to this deliverance because God talks about in this, we're going to find out he talks about a messenger that he's going to send. And this final book is like a cliffhanger. It's at the end. We don't really know what the result is going to be. And then God goes silent for a while. Until Jesus is going to come, these people are kind of in silence, and God has kind of let them gone into their ways. So Malachi actually means my messenger. It's actually not 100% sure who wrote this. They think that if you go to 1:1 real quick, Malachi 1:1, if you don't mind turning there. It says, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi could actually be translated as my messenger. So Malachi, like we said, means my messenger. So that actually could be read as my messenger. And if we go to chapter 2, verse 7. For the lips of a priest should keep knowledge, and the people should seek the law from his mouth. For he is the, what? Messenger of the Lord of hosts. So, this actually could be that maybe it was a priest that wrote this. And his name doesn't necessarily have to be Malachi. The biggest thing was that was my messenger, and that's going to be a theme throughout this book, is my messenger, my messenger. And it highlights a couple of the prophecies that he's going to have. God is going to send a messenger. This is the first messenger. Who is he going to be prophesying about? The first messenger. Who would that be? Tato? John the Baptist. He's going to be talking about this person who prepares the way. Then he's also going to be talking about God would send the messenger of the covenant. And who would obviously be the messenger of the covenant would be Jesus Christ. So Malachi is saying this is what's going to happen. As he's being the messenger, he's also talking about other messengers that are going to be coming. The dates. When you research and you look at the book, I don't know how many of you guys have a study Bible, but these study Bibles are amazing. They will break down all kinds of information. And mine in the beginning talks about it. It talks about the author, the date, historical settings, and those are some of the things that we're going to talk about to set the tone for when this book happens. And just so y'all know, just to prep you, you will not be sitting right where you are the whole time. You are going to be breaking up into 4 groups here very shortly. So just be ready for that. This is going to be something different than what we normally do. So you guys are going to be actually active participants in this. We will be having 4 groups, and we are going to be looking at this book together. It will not be just me up here the whole time talking to you or saying things like that. You're going to be breaking some of this book down with me, and we'll come back together and we'll see what we found. So just to give you an idea, I'm only going to be a little bit more, and then we're going to go into that portion. So the date, the exact date is not known. But they use some clues to figure out when this was written. And so it's widely agreed that this was written during the 5th century. Some even go ahead and pinpoint this between 420 and 415 BC. And this was written 100 years after Haggai and Zechariah. Let's see if I get to that. So here are some of the clues that tell us that this was written during this time period. Was that the Persian word for governor is used. So if you go ahead and go to Malachi 1:8. 1:8 says, and when you offer the blind as a sacrifice, is it not evil? And when you offer the lame and sick, is it not evil? Offer then to your governor. So right there, he's trying to tell these people, listen, you're sacrificing things to me that you wouldn't even give to this governor, a person who's under me, who's less than me. You're giving me stuff you wouldn't even dare bring to him. But the word that's used there is the Persian word for governor. And so that lets us know that probably the Persians were in control when this letter was written. And the Persians reigned over the promised land from 538 to 333 BC. So all these different clues are what kind of break it down into this kind of date. The other thing is he speaks of the temple sacrifices there, and he says that they are corrupt and not good. Well, this would have to have happened after the temple was rebuilt. And the temple was rebuilt in 515 BC. And probably this wasn't something that happened right after the temple was rebuilt. This probably took some time for these people to start doing this. So that's why they're kind of using these clues to say where this happened. And finally, if you look at, I think Todd brought this up, Nehemiah has a ton of the same concerns that he has. He talks about the sacrifices. He talks about their marriages not holding true to them. There's many of the same sins that are found in Nehemiah are found in this time period as well. And let's see if I get. This might have been when Nehemiah went back and was, was he the governor? Ed? Nehemiah. He was in a place, he was an official. And so when Nehemiah had to go back and fulfill his duties, Malachi might have been the one that filled in during this time period. So to give you a historical setting, there was peace. There was peace along the land, which this is actually a different setting for many of the minor prophets that were written. Many of the minor prophets were written in time of turmoil, wars, all kinds of different things. At this time period, the Persian rule was going on. They had already taken over everything. The wars had been won, and there was no threat of international conflict. So these people didn't have really a government that was really overbearing on them. The Persians took their taxes and then left them alone. They really didn't come in and try to dictate very much. They kind of just said, hey, you pay us and we're good. There were still economical shortages. That was still something that was common throughout the time. So why is Malachi important? So we get to see the heart of these men and women. These men and women were chosen by God. They're descendants of Abraham. They had inherited rich traditions from the Jewish people. They were the people who exited from Egypt. They were the people who had King David and a man after God's own heart. So these people had seen all these different things. They had such a deep history, and yet they were still turning away from it. At the same time, as much good that had happened, they had also seen times of judgment. These are the same people that knew about their ancestors roaming out in the desert. These are the same people that that were shamed when they the exile from the promised land. So even with all of this, even with all the great rewards that they had seen, all the things that God had been promised and went through and did exactly what he said he's going to do, and then when they didn't do what they were supposed to do, he punished them. Even through all of that, these people are still straying. They knew both sides of God, both. All right, perfect. All right, so The overall theme of this is the great king from verse 1:14 will come not only to judge his people, but also to bless and restore them. So here's where we're going to break up. I'm going to get some groups. You guys have already grouped together. And what I need you to do is you are going to, I'll tell you in group one, you are going to take chapters 1 through 5. Group 2 is going to break down chapter 1, verse 6 through chapter 2, verse 9. Group 3 is going to break down chapter 2, 10 through, and then chapter 3 through 15. And group 4 is going to be 3 all the way to the end. So let's see. Let's make some groups. You guys are big groups. Okay, some of y'all come up here and help out. Thanks. Some of y'all over here maybe just spread out. Let's get the groups. I'll take one. Group 1 will be back here. Group 2 will be right here. Group 3 will be right here. And group 4 will be back here. You guys are group 3. Did I say you guys are group 4? Oh, I'm sorry. You guys are group 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the same way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ed, how do I take this off of the presentation? Yes. I have already mine downloaded. So I'll do that. Oh, I'll put that back up. Sorry. All right. So here are the things you're trying to do. I would like, if you could, to try to come up with a theme, like one name of those verses. If you could have one word to describe those verses. Then underneath that, you can break it down into some subcategories of some of the themes that happened. By the way, I have an answer sheet, so whatever you get, we're going to put it back up here. So it's okay if we don't get all of them. That's the other one. Yeah, Chad saw it. I also want you to think about the direction that this is. Here's what I mean. Is the direction looking backwards? Is the direction looking forwards? Is the direction looking up towards God? Is it looking more at the people? So those are some of the things that you can think about when we are breaking down those verses. Does that make sense? All right.
favor of God. And He graces to us. Such a gift from Him. Show favor to you. Know that there were one among you who shut the door. You might not identify from the door and I have no pleasure. And I will accept all the wrong from the
Lord, from the rising of the sun to
Stand up, group three.
its going down, my name shall be great among the Gentiles, and every praise and thanksgiving.
One word that you guys
Shall be offered.
There may be some other, but reminders.
Going in, great among the nations, says the Lord.
Um,
Remain my sin, the Lord equals the child, and his pleasant. All you say for the virgin, she stood there for the prestige, says the Lord. Be great and turn down, because he is on his office, and sacrifices, I accept them. Cursed is the chief, I accept the alliance.
No, it's not that.
First conversation we go to lunch. This month. Yeah, you gotta sign up. Just go to the front desk and sign up.
Yeah, it's this month. I forget what they're having. I forget.
What's that?
Yeah.
Can I give everybody like 2 more minutes to kind of get a final thing? 2 minutes be good? Is every group ready? Good to go? All right. Let me check on these guys. I haven't checked on All right, so I know this isn't kind of normally how we do Wednesday night class, but being a teacher and going through and doing the things that I've gone to trainings, one of the number one rules in teaching is I'm not supposed to do the most work. I know that some people would be in here going, I feel like I did the most work. Well, as a teacher, that's what you're trying to get. You're trying to get the people who are learning. I've studied. You can ask Sarah, and I'm not trying to say anything. I read this book 3 or 4 times. I did the research on it. I read a bunch of different websites. And so I gave the little bit of information to you, but I wanted you guys to dig in a little bit. And this is kind of called a jigsaw. And teaching, what we would do is we would have people become, we'd have groups of 4, and we'd send those groups of 4 off to these specialized groups. Then you would come back to your original group, and each one would share with your group about what you learned. So I would say, I was in group 1, and here's what we learned about. And you'd share it to the other 3. And so it just helps everybody deepening that understanding. So we don't have time for that, but what I'm going to ask is from one person from each group to kind of break down the section that you became a specialist at. And then what we can do is we can hear from everybody else and learn about the entire book. So group 1, do you want to give us, whoever's speaking, the breakdown of your section?
Yeah, it starts off with the word of the Lord to the Lord of the Israelites, because what's going to happen is he's going to remind the Israelites, I chose you. You are my chosen people. And they were called children of God. So he's saying, I chose you as my people. But now the rest of that is going to come down with, but you chose not to follow me. And it says, I have loved you. God is like a loving father, it's like a parent. It's like a, this letter is like, this letter starts off like a parent talking to a child. Look, I know I raised you right, but sooner or later, you have to go off on your own, and you're going to make your own decisions. And Israel did. Israel made their own decisions. But it's like, but you made the wrong decisions. And so, what he is going to tell them, he's not telling, it's not all doom and gloom, but he is telling them that you are going to see, what you could have had. You're going to see whether you choose to say that I'm amazing or not. You're going to see some amazing things. And you're going to say, the Lord God is magnificent, and look what we could have had if we had stayed faithful to God. I think that maybe it's staying faithful to God. But it also, God was telling them how much love he had for them.
Okay. So yeah, I do believe that the first section is God kind of telling them, like he said, a parent, like, I've loved you guys. I've been there through the hard times. I've been there in the good times. I've been there at every turn. Even when you've gone against me, I still loved you. So the first section, I'd say it's broken up. That chapter 1 through 5 is God saying, I love you. The group 2.
Verses 1-6 through chapter 2, verses 9. This is a messenger here. Malachi, the messenger, is rebuking the priests this time for their irreverent, disobedient sacrifices. And we can also look to it as us. If we can lie to ourselves and say we're giving our best to God and we're not, then we will be as well.
Yeah, so in this section, Malachi has really honed in on the priests. And he said, you were in charge of these people. You were supposed to be the ones that were taking this flock and making sure they stay in line. And look at all the things that you are not doing. You're not holding up your end of the bargain. So all of this, he was really specifically speaking to the priests in that section. And then we're going to find out in group 3.
Chapters 2, 15, 15. And all things chastising the people, pointing out their sins. If they were wearing things who were worshiping idols, they weren't giving their tithes, and they sacrificing the perfect animal.
Yeah, so then in this section, Malachi goes and moves on from the priests, and he's like, hold on, people. You're not blameless. You guys have been marrying pagans. You've been going out and doing things you're not supposed to do. You're not giving your best to God. You're supposed to be giving the best animals. You're giving animals that are so lame and so broken that you wouldn't even give them to your governor, as he said in that at the beginning. So he's really laying it on to the people. So he breaks it down. He's like, God loved you. God loves you. The priests, you haven't been doing right. The people, you haven't been doing right. And then in 4, what does he give them? Group 4?
Oh, chapter 3, 16 before 6. To us, the running theme was remembrance. He said, oh, we think remembrance. It starts out with 16 saying, remembrance is written. Then it goes into 4, remember the law. And after we discussed, when you remember, you look forward, which if you have no forward, you have no hope.
Yeah, so these are the things that this, when I researched, I found this and I loved it. I thought it broke down each one of these categories into that. And it talks about each one of those, the hope, healing, and all that kind of stuff. And it talked about the direction. The first part, when he's talking about love, it was supposed to be looking up. Okay, it was looking at God and the love that he had. And then against the people and the priests, that was them supposed to be looking in, looking at what they've done. How can I, what can I change? And then the next part, the last part, is where that cliffhanger gets left, where we're looking ahead to Jesus, the true Messiah, coming and freeing these people. Other than that, that's kind of all I had for tonight. I do appreciate everyone trying something new. I hope that you enjoyed it and it was something that was a little bit different. I will tell you that researching is awesome. It's very, if you have the internet, it's pretty easy to do nowadays. All I did is I put book study of Malachi, and I just read through a whole bunch of different people and their thoughts and takes on it. And I took the things that were interesting, and but that's it. It really wasn't that difficult. But with how much research that we have that's available, a lot of times I don't read or feel like I can because I'm like, well, I don't understand everything. Well, the reason I don't understand everything is because I'm not really trying. When I want to, and I tried, and I had to, like, I'm getting up in front of people, I'm like, I have to know this stuff. Someone forces me to understand it. It's amazing what we can do and what we can overcome. So other than that, thank you for your attention. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks. What'd you say? Hey, Jimmer.
Okay, we have some announcements. I'm going to start with some announcements.
Dude, it's. You got your songs?
Yeah.
All right, we're getting started a little earlier tonight. I got a few announcements. Soon as we get finished tonight, if you plan on being here Saturday to help with, if you plan on being here Saturday to help with the yard sale or the work party, Bill Mays needs 5 minutes with you up here immediately following services. Tim said he will provide breakfast if you're here on Saturday morning. And then on the 30th, Sunday night, is men's leadership night. Philip's trying to fill it up. He'll come find you tonight. October 12th through the 13th is our Wikiwachi family weekend. It's Friday to Saturday night. Sign up on the yellow sheet. Tim goes Monday for his first round of radiation on his leg, so pray for him. October 11th, Bob Wyatt goes in for an update on his cancer. And then I just found out that Travis was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So we're going to pray for him and the course of treatments that he's going to be facing now, and just gather around him where we can. I want to welcome Noemi Rose to the family. She was born the 22nd. She's a grandchild of the Christmans. And also, tonight, you guys are in luck because we have a guest speaker for your lesson. Tim's going to lead us in song.
All right, open up your books. How'd you do that? That's not the right one. That's good enough. We'll do that one. 535. Hey, I just turned. That's not even the one I have marked. Okay, we're supposed to sing this one tonight. All right. 535. I'm in the way, the bright and shining way. I'm in the glory land way. Telling the world that Jesus saves today. Yes, I'm in the glory land way. I'm in the glory land way. I'm in the glory land way. Heaven is nearer and the way groweth clear. For I'm in the glory land way. And let's see if I can bring that just a little bit higher. Onward I go, rejoicing in his love. I'm in the glory land way. Soon I shall see him in that home above. Oh, I'm in the glory land way. I'm in the glory land way. I'm in the glory land way. Heaven is nearer and the way groweth clearer, for I'm in the glory land way.
The song after the lesson, 907. 907. Brother Mike.
Good evening. I've come tonight to tell you guys something that's it's on my heart, and I am almost 100% certain that 50% of you guys are sick of hearing about it, and it's my truck. Trust me, I'm in that 50% that's sick of my truck. But as I was thinking about my topic tonight, something kind of neat happened to me. I actually had a catchy title pop in my head for the name of this, so I'm going to share it to you. It's What My F-250 Has Taught Me About My Own Christianity and What It Can Teach You Too. I spent countless hours working on that truck and thousands of dollars, and it still causes me daily frustration and disappointment. I fix it, it breaks. I send it to a professional, they fix it, it breaks. I wash it, and somehow a new scratch appears on it. I wax it for the first time in a few years, and it decides to turn into a brick retaining wall and gouge my door and sidestep. The diesel constantly frustrates me. How many times in my life, how many times today has God looked at me with frustration? Every day he washes me, and I somehow always find the gutter or a brick wall of my own. Throughout the Old Testament, and specifically in the 12 minor prophets we just studied, God keeps reminding men that they are frustrating him by not doing what they should be doing. And am I getting as frustrated at myself for disappointing God as I get at my truck for disappointing me? When I first bought the truck, I was advised that I should buy the Haynes Repair Manual and keep it close. I have studied that book so much over the past 7 years that some of the pages are actually falling out. But am I approaching my spiritual life with that much drive? Am I faithfully doing what I'm told in 2 Timothy 2:16? Study to show thyself approved. I don't need a lot of time to think about that statement. I'm not. I keep that manual close to me in case something goes wrong. Why am I not keeping the Bible as close? Why am I putting a reading manual above reading? I don't have a Bible. This manual should be a Bible. Sorry for the effect. Now let me take you guys back to the year 2011. I was driving the hottest, and I mean the hottest car around. And I don't mean that because it was a 5-speed Camaro. I mean it because it's Florida and that thing had no AC. But that year I got this job at Duke Energy, and we decided to get a new car. It was an easy process for me. I knew what I wanted. A 2004 to 2007 F-250. I loved everything about that truck. And even though I knew all the issues I could potentially had with it, I still had to have that truck. And within the first 2 months of owning it, I needed the torque converter and a high-pressure oil pump replaced on it. Crystal has been ready to dump that truck since the day we got it, but my love for it has kept it around. Love, I don't use that word lightly. I grew up being told that love meant death and never use it unless whatever's on the other side of that word is something I'm willing to die for. Obviously, I'm not willing to die for that truck, but I have a strong affinity for it. But guess what? Jesus loved us, and he died for us. Romans 5:8. But God shows his love for us, and that while we are still sinners, Christ died for us. That's love. Do I love like God? Do others know I love God? Or is that somewhere on my list below my truck? As ridiculous as it is to say this, I do put that truck above God sometimes. It at times has been my idol. And I need reminders like this week and this lesson to put me back in perspective. And if you guys are wondering, yes, the truck is currently at the shop getting worked on. And as frustrated as my truck gets me, it is nowhere near as frustrating as I make God. Luckily for us, God doesn't trade us in for a newer model when we start giving him problems. But he does command us to study his word and to live out love and give it to people, not objects. So as I close, if you have felt lately that you are frustrating God, not studying like you should, or not showing love like a Christian is supposed to, we have this time right now for you to make your request known. Or if you'd like to be baptized, please come forward as we stand and sing.
Hark the gentle voice of Jesus falleth
tenderly upon your ear. Sweetest cry of love and pity, call it, turn and listen, stay and hear. Ye that labor and are heavy laden, lean upon your dear Lord's breast. Ye that labor and are heavy laden, come and I will give you rest. Then his loving tender voice obeying, bear his yoke, his burden take. Find the yoke, his hand is on you laying, light and easy for his sake. Yea, that labor and are heavy laden, lean upon your dear Lord's breast. Ye that labor and are heavy laden, come and I will give you rest.
Please bow. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for my friends, and help everyone that's sick, and help us have a great time today, and help us have a great rest of the week. And let's hope Tim's treatment goes well, and let's hope Mike shuts up about his truck, and let us have a good rest of the week. Amen.
Talk about it all the time, man. It's annoying.
Okay, hey, hold on for a minute. There are some birthdays, and we are going to sing happy birthday. Go ahead.
If I could have your attention just real quick. Hey, I just got an email from Sister Shirley Dooley, and she just found out that her biopsy came back, and she is positive for carcinoma. So she is going to be having surgery on October 5th. So keep Shirley in your prayers if you can. Reach out to her and strengthen and encourage her.
All right, now, we have some birthdays. We need to sing happy birthday to these people. Get on a happy note. Philip Martin had a birthday yesterday. Lois Mays has a birthday on Friday. Donna Brush has a birthday on Saturday. Haley Walden has a birthday on Saturday. Sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Philip, Lois, Donna, and Haley. Happy birthday to you. And we have an anniversary. Sarah and Ben. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary, dear Sarah and Ben. Happy anniversary to you. Happy
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. You got a birthday. We got love. We sing to you. Woo! Woo!
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Also play for
Ladies, we need you on Saturday as well. We need ladies here. We need men here. We need everybody in the building to be here Saturday. So come on up for the meeting because we got stuff to talk about with ladies too.
Baby's over there. Yes, Heather. Yes, Heather. Baby's over there. Yes. Yes, baby. Baby. Right? Baby. Baby's Mommy says it's go time. Go with mommy. Yep, go with mommy. And look, there's daddy. He says time to go.
Do not run. Do not run. Jaden, let's go. Kai, we're leaving. No, sir. No, sir. No.
Hi, Grandma.
No running.
Good to see you. They were good ones. Have you ever been?
Kai.
Well, Michael needs to get back to golfing. He hasn't done it in a while.
Well, we better get back to it. We can see.
Oh, say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. No,
And shopping elsewhere is sad.
say bye-bye.
Bye.
Say bye-bye. Now you don't want to talk?
You don't want to talk.
Say please. Oh, say please. Say bye-bye. Say love you.
Christina, did you have any more problems with your band?
No, it's fine.
You think it was just the water?
I may get probably squeezed,
Bye-bye.
but
Hey, bye-bye.
yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, I just want to get home. We're stuck at the grocery store. Yeah. But I was saying, you know how wonderful access time is. There's so many grocery stores. Random lady says, you know what, I need to.
What's her name? Got it?
So I, yeah, and I'm like, see, what's good in this world.
You got blind side.
Let's go, Angelina, ready?
Not yours.
What's in your hand?
Who's
What is that? Give it to him, man.
Nash, let's go.
All right, you ready, Angelina? All right, I need to do Sophia. Juju, this way, come to mommy.
You know that.
No, wait, Sophia. Juju, come here. Come to mommy. Juliana, come to mommy.
You have a good one.
Okay. Let's go. Let's go with Sophia. Come on.
Let's go.
No, 522, Brian. 522. You're not going down. I am not ever going to give you a standard. Oh, what was what Rodney's got? That was 522. 522. You are going to be 523. All right, good luck with that, guys. I was telling them. When is it starting? Sure. Let's go. One goes out, it's supposed to go out, it stays, it's supposed to stay. Well, I can have and also that
So good to get that.
you already said the time.
Yes, ma'am.
It's good. Good. How are you doing, Vivian? My mom had. She got a little special.
Hey, Julian. Melissa's group is November, and I'll figure out.
Okay,
This is the
October 27th.
27th
Okay.
lunch,
Okay.
and I have.
Whoops.